Have you ever wanted to explain VTubing to your mom, but weren't sure how to do so? Or has your mom heard about VTubing, but isn't sure what it actually is? Either way, you're in the right place, because by the end of this video, you'll not only have a better understanding of VTubing, but you'll also be able to explain VTubing to your friends, family, and yes, even your mom. How do I know this? I've used everything in this video to explain VTubing to my own 68-year-old mama bear. And if she was able to understand VTubing, then so can you, your friends, and yes, even your mom. So, sit back, get comfortable, and let me walk you through everything you need to know about VTubing. Let me just get the projector going, and there we are. Here is a brief overview of what we'll be covering today. I'll spend a few minutes explaining what VTubing is, as well as why people are drawn to VTubing. Even if you're already familiar with how VTubing works, this section will still be a good refresher, and will give you the basic knowledge to explain how VTubing works to your mom. Then, once we've covered what VTubers are, we'll dive into 3 different strategies for explaining VTubers, based on your mom's knowledge of cosplay, streamers, and celebrities. For the last portion of this video, I'll explain how to respond to additional questions or misconceptions your mom might have about VTubers, so that you'll be prepared for anything that comes your way. I also want to note that everything in this video can be applied to anyone curious about VTubers, not just your mom. If you have a friend, sibling, or acquaintance who doesn't understand VTubers, you can apply the knowledge you'll gain from this video to them too. I just took extra care to make sure that the content in this video is broad enough to be applicable for even the most offline of moms, just like my own mama bear. So, without further ado, let's hop into the wide world of VTubing. The word VTubing originates from virtual YouTuber, although nowadays VTubers stream on both YouTube and Twitch. VTubing has been around in many forms as long as the internet has existed, but it gained popularity in the late 2010s and early 2020s, and has continued to grow from there. At its most basic level, VTubing is where a real person uses a virtual model as their public-facing persona. This accomplishes several things. On one hand, it gives a welcome amount of anonymity to the person behind the model, which is a great idea for staying safe online. In an age where websites track and sell your online activity, many people are reasonably skeptical about showing their faces online, not just to protect their real identities, but to more freely express themselves online. In other words, VTubing can be an outlet for people to feel more free and safe online, which is a win-win in my book. Just as importantly, using a virtual model gives you a huge amount of creativity in how you present yourself, allowing you to make more artistic decisions about how you'll look to the world. This is one of my favorite things about VTubing. There are so many different avatars that people have created, which represent the creativity and artistic visions of these people. Like, look at how creative this sea slug model is, or this kaiju, or this Nekomata. Oh my god, it's amazing! There are so many different types of VTubers, and in other words, VTubing is a form of expression where people can choose imaginative avatars to represent themselves online. There are 3 different types of avatars that people use for VTubing. So let's start with the first category, PNGTubers. This is the most basic form of a VTuber, as you only need a microphone to use them. However, despite their simplicity, these models are wonderfully creative, as these virtual avatars are made of multiple illustrations that swap between different expressions whenever you speak. In fact, they're called PNGTubers because each avatar is made up of multiple PNGs. Some PNGTubers even use GIFs for their models, which has led to some folks calling themselves GIF-Tubers. All right, so that's the first category of VTubers. The second category are Live2D Vtubers. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but bear with me here. It'll all make sense. Live2D Vtubers are the first models that do require a camera to function, as they not only respond to you speaking, but they also use the camera to actively track and mimic your facial expressions. Whereas PNG and GIF-Tubers are a series of alternating images, the Live2D software takes a flat image and gives it the appearance of being 3D. That's right. You heard me correctly. Everything you're seeing on your screen is technically a flat illustration, and Live2D has made it appear three-dimensional. This is not done with AI. It is instead accomplished by very talented and very hardworking Live2D artists and animators who painstakingly separate an illustration into hundreds of layers and then animate it to move like a 3D object. Now, you don't have to fully understand this process to explain it to your mom. All you need to explain is that Live2D Vtubers have software that tracks their facial expressions and then outputs that as a virtual model. It's really impressive. And the fact that there are so many talented people who can animate this is nothing short of a miracle. However, as a result of how time-consuming this process is, custom Live2D models are noticeably more expensive than PNGTubers. For instance, while an expensive PNGTuber model can run a few $100s, custom Live2D models can cost thousands. However, some incredibly talented animators have made cost-effective, customizable Live2D models, where people can select from an impressive number of model presets in order to get their desired model. Here is just a sampling of the many customizable models that exist, and there's more that are dropping every single day. It is easier than ever for people to get into VTubing without breaking the bank, which is a welcome change from the early 2020s. So, we've got PNGTubers, Live2D Vtubers, and the final type of VTuber, which is full 3D. 3D Vtubers are the last type of VTuber, and unlike PNGs and Live2D, these are actual 3D models. That's right, while Live2D models are flat images with the appearance of being three-dimensional, VTubers with 3D models are fully 3D, meaning they can turn all the way around, move around their room freely, and perform in full concerts. Yes, that's right, there are actual VTubers who have sold out stadiums for their concerts, performing with 3D models on stage while they sing and dance. 3D models are the final frontier of VTubing, combining cameras, microphones, and 3D tracking software to create a moving virtual avatar. As a result of this, custom 3D models can be some of the most expensive VTubing models out there, especially once you factor in all the additional equipment required to run these models. But Thankfully, just like with Live2D, there are now tons of cost-effective models that are affordable and easy to use, making it a surprisingly accessible way for people to get into VTubing. Here's a sampling of some of the fantastic 3D models that exist. And those are the 3 different types of VTubers. Your mom might not care about the technical aspects of VTubing, but just in case she does have questions, it's important to have a basic understanding of how VTubing works. And now you do. Above all else, the most important thing to tell your mom is that behind every VTuber is a real person, and their virtual avatar is capturing their voice and/or movements to replicate on the screen. It's important to note that generative AI is not used in any of the drawing or animation processes in VTubing. In fact, VTubing is an industry where artists are well respected, as there are so many artists and animators who create these amazing models, and they deserve to be celebrated for their hard work. It's something that I really love about this community. And now that you know what VTubing is on a basic level, and the different types of VTubing that exist, it's time to get down to business and determine a strategy for explaining VTubers to your mom. The reason that we're coming up with a strategy is because even with the basics of how VTubing works, your mom is still going to be curious about what the VTuber does and what drew you to watching them in the first place. I have 3 different strategies for how to approach this, depending on your mom's familiarity with the following: cosplay, streamers, and celebrities. So let's hop right into this and explain VTubers to your mom. If your mom is familiar with anime or comic conventions, you can explain that VTubers are cosplay. Yes, that's right. It's that easy. VTubers, on a fundamental level, are cosplayers. But instead of purchasing and sewing their own costumes, they are fashioning virtual costumes instead. And many VTubers are inspired by their favorite anime, characters, or mythical creatures, and create their personas based around that. So, if your mom knows what cosplay is, you can tell her that VTubers are virtual cosplay. In fact, many real-life cosplayers are drawn to VTubing for the same reason they cosplay in real life, which is the chance to embody a different character or persona. However, not all VTubers are cosplayers in real life. Just as many people will simply act like themselves, but with a fashionable VTuber outfit, which leads to some fun interactions with fans online. VTubers are a wonderful form of creative expression, and people are drawn to it because of the fun characters and interactions that arise from it. If your mom isn't familiar with cosplay, but she is familiar with streamers, then you can explain that VTubers are streamers. Once you've explained how VTubers work, it becomes a lot easier to explain that VTubers are simply streamers who use a virtual avatar instead of their real face. And most moms will immediately understand why this would be preferable, as you don't have to worry about makeup, fixing your hair, or looking fashionable in front of a camera. Your virtual avatar does that for you. If your mom understands this, you can always show her clips of your favorite VTubers too, to explain what sort of streams they do. This is obviously optional, but you'd be surprised with how many moms have fallen into the VTuber rabbit hole with this exact interaction. If your mom isn't familiar with cosplay or streamers, don't fret, and not all hope is lost, because all moms are familiar with celebrities. That's right. You can explain to your mom that VTubers are virtual celebrities. Yep, it's that easy. Anyone with a public-facing persona who makes content is now a virtual celebrity. You heard it here first. If you explain VTubers as virtual celebrities, it's also easy to explain why VTubers would value anonymity so much. Celebrities are constantly flocked with paparazzi and reporters, and VTubers can insulate themselves from that by using a virtual avatar. That's not to say that there isn't VTuber drama, but that's only if your mom is interested in learning more. And while it's not good to gossip all the time, in moderation, it can be very fun to gossip with your mom. And just like that, you've now got the basic knowledge and strategies to explain VTubing to anyone, and most especially your mom. I've used these exact explanations with my own mama bear and my husband, and now you too can use this knowledge to spread the good word of VTubing. However, before I let you go and call your mom, there's a few additional things we should discuss, just in case your mom brings them up when you explain VTubing. In particular, there are several common misconceptions about VTubers, which are best to understand ahead of time so you can better respond to them if they happen. We've already talked about one misconception, but it bears repeating. VTubers are not AI. The very few AI VTubers that do exist still use Live2D models illustrated and animated by real people. It is just the AI program that is puppeting the model, and even then, they still require constant monitoring from programmers. This is very uncommon, especially since generative AI requires substantial amounts of energy to run, making them more expensive than the average VTuber could afford. AI is simply not as cost-effective or desirable as your mom thinks, and it certainly is not responsible for VTubers. You can remind your mom that real artists and animators create VTubers, which is why it is so technologically impressive. But wait, your mom might say, is VTubing all some kind of sex thing? Okay, Mom, the answer to this is quite simple. No, VTubers are not all the sex thing. While there are some VTubers called lewd-tubers who cater to a raunchier audience, the most VTubers do not, just like any other medium. Because at their core, VTubers are passionate cosplayers, and people get into cosplay for a variety of reasons, none of which has to be sexual. In fact, the VTubing community is a bastion for the queer community, and there are tons of asexual people within the VTubing sphere. However, it is also worth expressing that it's okay for sexual elements to exist in this fandom, and that lewd-tubers deserve the same kindness and respect as anyone else. Explaining this to your mom may help her reflect on why she reflexively thought that VTubing was a sex thing. And maybe give her a chance to see the nuances within all media, not just VTubing. But wait, your mom might say, how do you know that those VTubers are the gender they say they are? What if all those female VTubers are secretly men using voice changers? Okay. If your mom brings this up, there are several different ways to approach this misconception, depending on why your mom is saying it. Option number 1, your mom is saying this because she thinks voice changers are more impressive than they are. Yes, voice changers can affect the way someone sounds, and some people do use voice changers to try to cosplay particular characters. But the vast majority of people who use voice changers are women who think they don't sound feminine enough, so they make their voices higher, or men who think they don't sound manly enough, so they make their voices lower. Both of these situations make me really sad. You are who you are, and there is no rule book dictating that you have to sound a certain way. I have a very low voice as a woman, but I love how it sounds. On the flip side, a woman with a naturally high voice should not be the subject of ridicule. You should never be ashamed of your voice, whether it's high or low, and explaining this to your mom may help her reflect on her own biases about what men and women should sound like. If your mom is still adamant that VTubers are all men using voice changers, it's worth exploring what is driving that misconception. Does she think that only men would be into anime avatars? If so, that's a rather outdated misconception. Their women have always been part of the anime community, but like many hobbies, their women often hid that they were into anime to avoid ridicule or ostracization. However, those days are long gone, and women are now proudly and openly members of the anime community, meaning that this is a great chance to bring your mom into the 21st century. Explain that women love all kinds of anime, and that women have written anime classics like FMAB, Sangatsu no Lion, Hoseki no Kuni, Apothecary Diaries, and so many others. Explaining this to your mom may help her reflect on her own biases about women in the anime community. If your mom is still adamant that VTubers are all secretly men hiding behind female avatars, then we've got some work to do. Your mom is adamant about this because she thinks that only men would use female avatars as a way to catfish other men. Yep, your mom thinks that all female VTubers are secretly men who are using this as some sort of kink. Your mom is saying this because she's grossed out by the concept of someone using an avatar that doesn't match their gender. Let's call this what it is. This is homophobia. And in many cases, transphobia. This type of phobia can be difficult to untangle, as it's ingrained over many years, and there's a good chance that the previous arguments we've covered won't change your mom's bias. But if you do want to try, my best advice here is to simply ask your mom why she cares. Why does it matter if the person behind the avatar is a different gender? Is it because she thinks it's gross as a result of her phobia? Or is she upset that she can't lewd the VTuber model if the person behind it is a different gender? Now, I'm not trying to kink shame your mom, but unless you call out these types of arguments, your mom will continue to think they are legitimate. The VTubing is one of the most diverse hobbies out there, with plenty of men, women, and non-binary folks streaming with models that might not match their gender, because they're having a blast cosplaying these characters. If your mom thinks that's gross, then the least you can do is call her out on it and try to bring her into the modern age. If she's willing to learn, maybe show her an anime like My Dress Up Darling to explain how the world of cosplay and VTubers is filled with all sorts of wonderful people of all genders. If all of that fails to change your mom's mind, at the very least, you should be proud of yourself for trying. These sorts of phobias can take a long time to untangle, and you asking this question now could help later down the road for your mom or whoever else it is that you're talking to change their mind on this subject. And if they don't, there's plenty of other wonderful people who will understand why VTubers are as cool as they are. Beyond these biases, there are two other types of misconceptions I want to quickly cover, and then you'll be fully prepared for any questions that your mom may bring up. If your mom is queer-friendly, she may not bring up these previous biases, but there is a chance that she might ask you this instead. You said that people choose to be VTubers for anonymity, but what if those people are actually VTubers because they're ugly in real life? This one is pretty easy to answer. Not only is this a rather telling question, as it suggests that your mom might have very shallow views of her fellow humans. No judgment there, but it again begs the question, why does she care? Why does it matter if VTubers are ugly in real life? Is it once again because she can't lewd the VTuber model if the person behind it is ugly? That's certainly a shallow view of the world, and a very dehumanizing one as well. Behind every VTuber is a real human who has made the decision to use a virtual avatar instead of their real face. They're not toys to be paraded around by your mother. This includes lewd tubers, who still deserve to be treated with respect. And your mom treating all VTubers as a way to satisfy her own kink says a lot more about your mom than it does VTubers. Pointing this out to your mom and encouraging her to view VTubers as people, some of which are conventionally attractive in real life and some of which are not, is a great way for your mom to put aside shallow views of people's appearances. And last but not least, your mom might not care about the person behind the model, might not care about how that person looks or acts or exists. She might simply think that VTubers are cringe. Mothers of the world, dear listeners and fellow humans, I have something monumentally important to tell you, so listen closely. We are all cringe. Every single one of us. It's cringe if the highlight of your week is getting drunk and watching football. It's cringe if your favorite pastime is showering once a week and hiking alone through the woods. It's cringe if your favorite hobby is sharing 1,000,000 pictures of your kids. We are all cringe, and that is okay. The sooner that you realize this, the happier that you will be, because there is no such thing as normal, nor is there any right way to enjoy your hobbies. Getting excited about something you're passionate about makes you human. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. Live your life as you want and enjoy your simple pleasures. Whether that's a beer with the big game, taking pictures of your adorable gremlins, or dressing up in your favorite cosplay. We are all cringe together. You, me, and especially your mom. And that is what makes life worth living. I hope this video was a helpful look into the world of VTubing and how to explain it to your mom. A huge thank you to my incredible friends for lending their models to this video, and a special thank you to my friend and fellow educator Firozera for ensuring that this video's script was as informative as it could be. I've included the links to all of these wonderful VTubers featured in this video, which you can find in the video description. If you want to support these sorts of videos, consider subscribing and leaving a comment below. I also share the wonderful cringe things that I enjoy with all of my viewers on this channel, whether it's anime, video games, or thoughts about life. So feel free to stop by my streams if you're so inclined. Remember to stay cringe, be well, and enjoy this crazy adventure that we call life together. Bye for now!